Okay, done. So this is the Raja Guhya Yoga, most confidential knowledge. Fine. Let us pay obeisance to Sri Radha Govinda. Om Ajnana Timarandasya Jnanakashalakaya Chakshurmitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam Sthapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavscha Shri Rupam Sagarajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vittam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakana Vittamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sute Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Vancha Kalpaturabhyascha Kripa Sindhu Evacha Patitam Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namane Namaste Sarasate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasha Deshatarine Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So let us start this chapter. So just a short recap from this chapter 7 was Jnana Vijnana Yoga. That was the absolute. So there Krishna says, finally fix your mind on me, and he is the source of everything. So and he is from him the material energies, then the marginal energy, everybody has come. So Krishna is the source of everything, and we need to surrender to Krishna, because only then we can come out of this Maya, because Maya is very powerful. Only with his help we can cross this Maya. Okay, so then he talked about demigod worship and impersonalist, and then in yesterday we saw Akshara Brahma Yoga, where finally he said what to do at the time of death. So in time of death, we need to remember Krishna at the time of death. If you do, you surely go back to him without any doubt. Okay. And then how to remember? Yogena Balena. That is, we have to constantly remember him. Otherwise, we will never remember at the time of death. Okay. Then whatever the mentality we have at the time of death is that mentality we will have in the coming birth. Okay, all our the karmas and desires are the one which decides our next birth. So, if by practice this remembering Krishna, then it will help us to have the mentality, remember him at that time. Even if you don't remember, at least you have remembered throughout your life. You see, whatever the bhava you had, that only help you. And Krishna will know, because he is there as a Paramatma in us. Then finally, he concludes saying, Anyanya Bhaktas are the most supreme. Okay, the devotee. And what qualities they have here, which are more dear to him, he saw. Then in this Raja Vidya thing, he goes to tell us most confidential knowledge and how to practice Anyanya Bhakti. And Krishna is very partial to Hanis. And these two qualifications we should have, should be non-envious and should be faithful in our devotional service. So only then the choice is ours to go back to the spiritual world or to be in this material world birth after birth. Okay. So this chapter has 4 sections. Krishna glorifies the knowledge he is about to reveal. So he is telling it's the most pavitram and uttamam, and it's the most confidential knowledge, which will relieve us from the miseries of life. Okay. And then, actually, here it doesn't start with Arjuna's query. Krishna himself is speaking on his own field because he wants to elaborate about the bhakti, about the glories of bhakti, okay, the pure devotion service. And that is how a teacher is, he has to, when there is certain doubt, and he has to explain everything. So, and he says you will be free from all inauspicious of material existence. Then he is giving us the Aishwarya knowledge. That is how pure it is, and his relationship with the world. Then he talks about the different types of worshippers, who are atheists. No, they don't worship him at all. They think he's just an ordinary person, and they don't believe in God. And there's the other extreme, who are the Mahatmas, who are all the time thinking of the Lord. Then in between also who are there, he's talking about the different type of worshippers. Then finally he concludes by the glories of Krishna Bhakti. Okay. So, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha idam tu te guhyatam mamam pravakshyami anasuveve jnanam vijnanam sahitam jnat jnatva mokshase hasuva. The Supreme Lord said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most secret wisdom, knowing which you shall be relieved of the miseries of material existence. So, hearing this knowledge, he is giving us the most content. In real life, actually, you all have come here and hearing for 1 hour, and in reality, you are hearing all the time. But if you hear the chapters of Bhagavad Gita, there's a blessing. Okay. Even in Padma Purana, it says there is Gita Mahatmya, where they glorify the Bhagavad Gita, where it is given that there is blessing in hearing every chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So that's why we are going chapter by chapter and chanting slokas as far as possible. So, but what happens is we need, not only chanting is important, but we should understand what Krishna is saying. So understanding the sloka is also is equally important. So that's why we are here. And if you get so for example, you get a letter from your father, but you should understand what he has written. Then only there is a benefit. Same way, this is a love letter to us from Krishna, and we should understand what he has got to say. And all he wants us is to go back to him. That's all he says. This is the only one which is telling us how to go back to the Lord. So here, jnana means is just theoretical knowledge, but vijnana is means realized knowledge. How you take it inside, how do you imbibe that knowledge, not just leave it as a theory. We need to vijnana there. Only then, how do you get it? How you will be able to realize this knowledge is only when you're not envious. So envy means that you're not jealous of the person, but you don't like that. There is something in the other person you don't like, you desire that, but you don't like that person to have it. So that is envy. So he says, you are not envious of me, so I'm able to impart to you this most sacred wisdom. Okay. So the thing is, if we have a heart that's got negative feelings for someone, then how can Krishna come and be in us? He cannot stay, So we have to be careful. Actually, the best example we can give is Dhritarashtra. He was always envious of Pandavas. He knew the sons of Pandavas sons of his brother Pandu, they were much, much greater than his sons. But he was envious of them. And in fact, he need not have he had so many things with him. He could have been happy, but this envy in his heart, he was not able to understand this Bhagavad Gita. See, Sanjay is narrating everything, but he was not able to. Even in the end of it, he couldn't understand what Krishna was saying because his heart was full of envy. And that's why we need to introspect ourselves, isn't it? That we should not have some ill feelings to others. Then how will Krishna come to us? And after all, the life here is temporary. And why should we have some ill feelings to others? Okay? There might be things, but our focus is to go back to the Lord. So this is the truth. And what is this confidential knowledge is going to give us? Raja Vidya Raja Guhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyaksha Vagama Dharmayam Sushukam Kartam Avyayam. this knowledge is the king of education. See, you will get educated here, right? That academic education, what we get is how to you're getting the skills how to survive in this world, how to take care of this body, you take care of your family and get a job and that kind of knowledge. But this knowledge, which we don't get in the school or in colleges, is about the transcendental knowledge, how to go back to the Lord and to get relief from the cycle of death and birth and death. Okay, and it is pavitram. Anyone who listens to it get purified. That is pavitram, and it is uttamam. It is the greatest. And because it gives us the direct perception of the self, because we understand, and the more we understand, we get prakashasya swagamam. That means you yourself will be joyful, and you will be doing it joyfully. In the beginning, you might be just following the thing, but once you get the vijnana, once you get self-realization, then perception of this, then you will understand what your religion is and what is it, and it is avyayam. It will always be everlasting and joy, and you will do it joyfully. So that is why he says it's a Rajya, and Rajya Guhyam is most secret because nobody can understand that easily, this knowledge. Okay? The Supreme Lord said, you are never in men's ashal. And there are three things which we are learning. See, from why confidential? See, the first thing which he told us in the beginning itself, that we are the spirit, soul, and not the body. And this is useful for liberating. This knowledge is required because it was explained clearly in chapter 2 and 3 and how we can come away from the sinful reactions of our activities, karmas. Okay, how we don't get bonded to that, to the results and the karma yoga. If you do, you won't get any reactions from the activities. So whether it's auspicious or inauspicious, we need to not get entangled with the reaction. So we learn that because we are the spirit soul, and our true constitution position is to come. From where have we come? We have come from his word. Okay, that was the next we learned in chapter 7 and 8. That is the from where we have come. So first we understood who are we? Who are we? And from where we have come from his word. And we have to go back to him. Okay, that is the more constitutional knowledge we learn, right? You know, understanding his energies and the Krishna consciousness. And then he says, no, and he also told us in the last chapter, keep remembering me and think, then you slowly will be going back to him. You'll get the same bhava. And that depends upon our mentality, what we have at the final. Okay, so that we learned about the how to and where we have come from and how and why we have to go back and why we have and the reason why we are in this world. Okay, now most confidential. He is telling us the pure bhakti, the process to go back to him. The process is pure devotional service and how to go and how he also portrays the glories of the Lord. See, unless we know how great he is and how supreme he is and what is in, then only we'll start trying to relate to him and we'll be attracted to go back to him, isn't it? So those who are not faithful on the path of devotional service cannot attain. So next is we should have the shraddha. We should have the faith in the Lord. So unless we are faithful in the path of bhakti, then you cannot attain. Because we have doubts. We are in this material world. There are people all the time cheating us. So our mentality is to always trying to be doubtful of others. So that doubtful will be all there. Is there in us. In every dealings in the deal with the others, we have that doubtful mentality. But to doubt the authority, that is serious. So he is the authority, he is the supreme Lord. And why should we doubt him? Why should we doubt? And he says, don't doubt. We are sure to come back to me, right? So we need to we should understand that is the Raja Vidya, and we need to go back. This is our purpose in life. Okay. So two things. What are the qualifications? We should not be envious of the Lord and should have faith in the path of devotional service. So these are the important things, qualification to understand this confidential knowledge. Okay. And then now he's telling about his avyakta, that is Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina mach stani sarva bhutani na chaham tesh avashita. By me in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me and I am not in them. So he's telling how it looks like contradictory, but it's not. See, like if you have the Tatas, they have so many factories and so many companies all around. Okay. But you don't expect Tata now to be in all the companies. He has appointed people, and it is in each factory that is responsibility of the people there to how to make the bolt and nut or whatever it is the factory is made for. Okay. So king's power is felt in all the departments, but you can't expect his presence in every department. Same way, the Lord he has manifested this entire universe, and we all have been put in here, and it's pervading everywhere. His energy is pervading all the things, but he's not in them. Okay, but he's getting it done through his thing. So even though he's there, you can't see him. In spiritual world, you can see him. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I'm everywhere, still myself is the very source of creation. So this is what he's saying. He's again and again he's talking about his mystic opulence and how he's maintaining and how he is pervading everywhere. And maintaining on everything is maintained by him, the living. Even though we think we are doing ourselves, but actually we only desire, and the body which has been given by him, it is get done through that. Okay, material energy. So everything he is the source of creation. So all beings are me and that. So this is something we need to ponder, introspect, and realize. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere, rest always in the sky. All created beings resting. See, it's like this, no? The wind is blowing a thing, but it doesn't go beyond the sky, no? It is within that. It is blowing, and you can feel the wind going all around, but it's always within the sky. Same way, we are there when created beings are resting in him, but we don't go beyond that. He is there everywhere. Okay. And O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature. At the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them. So, Karnadaksha Vishnu, he is the one who creates this material creation is through him. Okay, all these universes come through his pores, and into that he enters as Karnadaksha Vishnu to energize the universe. And in our universe, Karnadaksha is there, and from his navel, Brahma is created as a first living entity. And he is given the power to subcreate. Also, he has got been empowered to do the creation. So he created all the 14 planets and everything. So it is Karnadakshina is he says, end of the millennium, and once the end of the millennium, what happens? All these material things will go back into him. Okay. And again, anything, then he'll create. Like that, so many universes are there. All this cosmic manifestation at the end of the millennium, it goes back to the Mahavishnu. And then he will create it again when he wants it. Okay. This is how the creation is done. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. Under my will, it is annihilated at the end. So there clearly says the whole cosmic world is under him. Only as per his will, it gets created. And when in the time comes, under his will, he annihilates. So he creates, then once manifested, he maintains it. And then after that, he will annihilate in the end. Okay. So this is the creation, how it comes. Oh, Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached, seated as though neutral. So he is there as comforting, but he just does it because for whom does he do this material creation? It is for our living entities, because we had the desire to come down. We wanted to enjoy independent of Krishna. So he put us here. The minute we are put in this material creation, what happens? We forget all about him. We think this world is a reality, and we think, and it's bad. Whatever he does, it doesn't bind it because he creates of his own will and does. He's like detached. He is the thing. Okay. And this goes on, and its will is most important. So it comes, does he get influenced by Maya? So now he talks about this. Maya dekshena prakriti suyate cha characharam hetu nanena kaunteya jagat viprayavat. This material nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. Okay. So by its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. See, everything is moving as per the order, no? So the sun is there, the planets are going around in its orbit, and everything works in a perfect order because it is under his direction. He has given the program, and the program and the washing machine will work like that. It is programmed and it goes on as per its direction. Okay. So all these are moving. So by this, he created, managed, annihilated again and again. Okay. So another thing he says, supreme. So he is the supreme object of worship, and he is talking about his relationship with the material creation. So then, does Krishna come under the influence of Maya when it comes in human form? So, but one thing we should understand here is, see the cloud, no? So if you take the example of the cloud, it is created by the sun energy, right? And then when the cloud is there, what we see, oh, the sky is cloudy and all that. But because of its clouds, we may not be able to see the sun. Doesn't mean that sun is not there. Sun is there all the time. It's so far, far away. But because of the clouds, our vision is disturbed. So we cannot see the sun because the cloud is disturbing our vision. So it's just like that. Maya is disturbing us. So we are not able to understand. Cannot understand Krishna. We have forgotten Krishna. So doesn't mean that he's not there. But so when he came as in human form, only people who are not able to understand that he is the Supreme Lord. They did so many things, impossible deeds, like lifting up the Govardhan hill. Then as a baby, he could even kill Putana, and so many devils, everything by just a fraction of his energy. So, but people just think he's just a magician or think they don't want to understand. So here in this verse, he says, Avignanti mamoda manushim tanum ashritam param bhavam ajjananto mama bhota mahesha. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature and my supreme dominion over all that being. So, why they don't? They just bring down Krishna's position to the ordinary people platform. They're so much sinful to speak like that, So everything is destroyed. And why is it so? It says they are fools. When if he is there in this earth, he is in his transcendental form. They don't understand. Otherwise, if he had a form of the material body like us, then they can't do all those impossible things, which has been done. But his form is transcendental. That is why he has the supreme power and is supreme dominant over all that. So this is why do such people do not respect him? Now he is giving their reason. Mogasha moga karmano moga gnana visheshtata rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim. Those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. So they like that. They want to be they think, he is not the thing here. All these people are all fools and things. But in that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, their karmic activities, their culture of knowledge are all defeated. Okay. So because of this mentality, because they are attracted to such things, their knowledge is destroyed. And they are totally lost in this material world, and they keep repeating their cycle of birth and death. Okay, that is the thing. And those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and this. In that delusion, they observe liberation thing. And we have this example of Shishupal. He was so envious of Krishna right from his birth, right? And he knew that if he if he dishonors him in words, no, but 100 times, more than 100 times, he will be killed by Krishna itself. But during he was very careful, but at the time of when Yudhishthira was doing Rajasya, that time they honored Krishna. That time he became so envious. He forgot that his death will be there by that, and he started dishonoring him and blaspheming him. And finally, he meets his death. So their hopes for liberation, they had that demonic nature, no? So they couldn't, and so envious of Krishna. But there is the other end. So we saw one end who are the one extreme, who are atheists or demonic, okay, who can't think about Krishna as the Supreme Personality. Now we have the other end, that is Mahatmanastu Mam Pata Dairim Prakritim Asriya Bhajanti Ananya Manaso Natva Bhutadmi Avyaya. So what are these? O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls are under the protection of the divine nature. That is Daivim Prakriti Ashriya. So they are under, these great souls, the Mahatmanas, they are under the protection of divine nature. Why? Because they are fully engaged in devotional service, because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. That is Abhyagam, Jnatva Bhutadam. So this they know. They are so convinced. They know he is the Supreme Lord and he is the cause of all causes. Okay. So, and that's why they are under the protection of Daivim Prakriti. So what is this Daivim Prakriti? Is nothing but Yoga Maya. So there are two Mayas, Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. Yoga Maya is the internal potency of the Lord. Okay. It facilitates devotional service to the Lord. Whereas Mahamaya is in the world and it will try to give us exam all the time. It is like it protects us. It is protecting Krishna. It is like, it's always trying to test us. Every step it will be testing us. So because we are having so many foolish desires, to be here. Whereas your Yoga Maya will facilitate service for the pleasure of the Lord. And who is the personification of Yoga Maya? Is Radharani. She is full of mercy. And we need to take shelter of Radharani to get the mercy to do devotional service to the Lord. Okay. So what do these people do when influenced by Yoga Maya? Let us see. Those who are deluded, great souls, are under protection of divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, cause of cause reference. So, what do? Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridda vritaha namaschanti sa mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. What do? All the time they glorify me. They all the time think of me. So always chanting my glories, enduring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So they're all the time thinking of him, worshipping him, always chanting my glories, enduring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So that's all they do. Okay, they know he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thing. So, and it's and other verses which come from 16 and 17 and 18, Krishna is talking about his glories. Okay, so we saw about the atheist people, demonic people. Then we saw about the Mahatmanas, how they are all the time chanting, glorifying the Lord. They are all the time in devotional service to the Lord. So because they are under the protection of Daiva Shakti, okay, the internal potency of the Lord. They are with Yoga Maya is there. And because they're all the time thing, and they know for sure he is the Supreme Personality of God and the cause of everything. Okay, and so now he's talking about the glories. But it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing of the transcendental chanting, and the butter, fire, and offering. So in all the sacrifices which we do, when they do the yajnas, all the ingredients is his only. It has come from him. There's nothing we have of our own to give. Okay? The chanting, the thing, butter, fire, and the offering, everything is to the Lord. I am the father of this universe, the mother, support, and grandson, and the object of knowledge, purifier, and the syllable. I am also the Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurvedas. So he is there in the Vedas. So what? Actually, the Vedas, what does it tell us? The ultimate goal in the Vedas is to go back to him. And they give a lot of rituals and how to do and everything, right? But the goal is to go back to him, right? So I am the father of this universe. He is the creator, no thing, and the mother, support, and the grandson. I'm the object of knowledge. We need to know about him. Purifier, syllable home, Rig Veda, Samaveda. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, refuge, and most dear friend. He says, no, Bhoktaram, Maheshwaram, and Suhurdam. So he is the enjoyer, he is the Maheshwar, the full controller of the whole universe, everything, and he is a dear well-wisher. So, dear friend, I am the creation, annihilation, basis of everything, resting place, and eternity. So, he is talking about the glories of his glory. See, unless he talks about himself, how can we know? Isn't it? So, yes, again clarifying it. Why Mahatmas are all the time thinking of him? Because of this. Oh, Arjuna, I control heat, the rain, the drought. I am immortal. I am also death personified. Both beings and non-beings are in me. So, if you don't understand Krishna, I think Krishna will come to you at the time of death. And whatever you want or whatever you think, you have to leave and you get to take the rebirth, right? So, he is also death personified. But those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly promise, worship me indirectly. So there are people, no, who they study, the students of Vedas, no, they study it properly. And they go through so many, there are so many sacrifices, which you do. Like, you can drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets and all that. So they take the birth, they do it so faithfully and everything, they will surely take birth in the planet of Indra, where they can enjoy godly delights. But Krishna says, when they have thus enjoyed heavenly sense pleasure, they return to this mortal planet again. Okay. Thus, through the Vedic principles, they achieve only flickering. So, if you just blindly follow the Vedas and do everything and all that, you surely get, people say, you will go to get Swarga, you'll go to the heaven and everything, fine. But what he says, that they will enjoy the sense pressure, but they have to return once that credit is over, the quota was over, then they have to come to this mortal planet again, because this, whatever the happiness they get is only flickering. It may not be like 100 years on this earth. It might be much more. It might be for a longer duration. You might be in the Swarga, the higher planets. But after some time, you have to come back to the thing. Only from Bhuloka, only you can try to seek the liberation. So you have to come back. So he clearly says that people who blindly just follow or faithfully do it, they will get the benefit, but that benefit is only temporary. So after some time, you have to come back. So he clearly, so these are the different kind of worshippers, he said, so this thing. Okay, it's like a free wheel, Once you go up, you come down and anything. So it is going up and down like a free wheel. But there is another thing also, how he reciprocates to the Mahatmas. Anyanyas chintyanto mam e jana paryupasate tesam nitya abhiktanam yoga shemam vahamiha. That those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. There was an interesting narration, in Bhagavatam. There was one devotee, Arjuna Acharya. Okay. So when he was writing commentary on this Bhagavad Gita, then when he came upon this verse, And he read, no, Yoga Shema Mahamiham. He said, how can the God, Lord say, that he'll carry what they lack and preserve what him? How can he personally come and do it? It must be, instead of Mahami, it should be Karomi. That is, he'll get it done. So he will scratch that word Mahami and writes Karomi. Then after that, he goes to take bath, to take for begging for alms and things. He goes out. In meantime, what happens? Two boys come running to the house, and his wife says, "What have you done?" "No, just so many things have been sent by the master. Please take them." So they unload everything, the grains and so many things they have brought, and they give to him. And he says, "Why so much hurry? Have something and go." "No, he was so angry with us. See the mark, he has hurt me here on my forehead. We have to go back, otherwise he will be very furious with us, and they will give everything to her and they go away." So when Arjun devotee comes back home, he sees his wife eating. He says, "How does that you do? You usually don't eat, without me." Then he says, "No, I'm very angry with you. Why are you so this thing to those boys? They were so nice and you have hurt them also." Then he wonders, what, I've never sent anything and all. Then he asks her, "Please explain who those boys were and all that." She describes. Then he understands that what he had written, no Vahami. So personally, the Lord reciprocates. It's not that he'll do it through somebody. He will come. So he says, "I carry what they lack and preserve what they have." So these Mahatmas are not worried, because once they have gone into the Ashraya, into his shelter of his internal potencies, they don't bother, because they know Krishna will take care. And here he says, personally, I will carry what they lack and preserve what they have. Okay. So then he understood the word Vahamiha. So there's nothing to be changed. So what Krishna, whatever a man may sacrifice to the other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant for me alone, because it is offered without the true understanding. So you would know, demigod worship, people who worship through the Vedas thinking and all that, it is avidhi purvakam, because indirectly you are worshipping the Lord. You're not directly, it's avidhi purvakam. So in Prabhupada says in the purport, they are placing so many competitors to the Supreme Lord, that is avidhi purvakam. That is illegal. Nobody can be competitor to the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord is known as Asamma Uttaha. That is, nobody is greater than the Supreme Lord and nobody is equal. So whatever we do through the demigod worships or the ghosts or whatever it is, it's avidhi purvakam. And those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Who worship the ghosts and spirits will take birth among beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors. But those who worship me will live with me. So here clearly he is telling us, this is the best way to directly be in Krishna consciousness. People think there are many ways to reach Lord, but it is not. Here he is very, very clear. But he doesn't tell us not to worship, because you have to have faith in something, not be atheist. So that might be the beginning stage. But finally, you should understand who the Lord Supreme Being is. I am the only enjoyer, master of all sacrifices. Therefore, those who do not recognize my true natural nature will fall. So you will come back. All he needs is the pure devotion. Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktya upahartam asnami prat. If one offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I'll accept. All he needs is not a big elaborate meal or anything, just enough with love and devotion. If you just offer a leaf, a flower, a fruit, I will accept. So it is not for the rich people alone, or for anyone who are devotees, they can just offer me with love and devotion. So I will accept. So he clearly passed one thing, okay? And O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer, give away, as well as austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering. Yet karoshi, yet darshnasi, yet josi dadasti, yet tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpana. You arpana, just offer it to me. So It's very clear, it's very clear-cut instructions he gives us. And he says, I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I'm equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend. Is in me, I'm also a friend to him. Because they live all the time in thinking of the Lord. So he is a friend to him. But if you want to not to believe in him and think, he says, okay, don't believe in me. You take many more births and come. That's no problem. He will just go along with your desire. He doesn't going to be. But if you surrender to him in devotion, then he is a true friend to you. Okay. Then, even if one commits the most abominable actions, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he's. So once the person is determined, to be in devotional service, and think he might be in the neophyte stage, and he might be making some mistakes in the beginning. But he says, but if he's determined to be in that, engaged it, then finally he will come. Slowly he will come to him. He'll get properly situated. So he will, but you should not think that he's sinful because he is properly situated. Okay. But because of that, we should not wantingly, deliberately do sinful actions, thinking the power of chanting will counteract it. So Krishna is there inside you. He knows all your thinking, feeling, and all that. So we cannot deceive him. Okay. And we cannot do thinking, oh, I'm chanting. No, so I can do some sinful actions. No, it cannot be done willfully, deliberately. But by accidentally, you might have done something, then he will forgive you. But if you do it deliberately, it will never be forgiven. So he quickly becomes righteous. And so if you read that sloka by itself, then you will have some misunderstanding. So you have to see what he's telling next. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So he is really convinced that person will become righteous and attains because he has already come to the path of devotional service. So he says, such devotee never perishes. They will slowly come back to me, become righteous and nothing. So finally he concludes, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskaro mam evashi vittavam atmanam madparyan. Engage your mind always and think of me. Offer obeisance, there is mam namaskaro, and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely he will come to. So finally he says, he gives us the path, how to go back to him and this. So with this, he concludes the chapter. Lord personally reciprocates with devotees, bringing them closer to him. So we saw the confidential knowledge, how we can be peaceful. He says it will free us from the miseries of life. Then he talked about his relation to material world. Is there, how, why he created it, and ways to approach Krishna, we saw, and the exclusive devotion. And there are, 9 processes in devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam. We can take up anything in this. So, okay. Demigod worship and deity worship we saw. Gola. In this Shravanam is what we are always hearing. Kirtanam is chanting and remembering him. At least these 3, we can practice today. Okay, listening to the scriptures, being with the association of devotees, it will help us. Okay, goal of life is to free from cycle of birth, Ananya Bhakti, and always remember Krishna. So if you engage yourself positively, it is very simple, this Ananya Bhakti, and it accepts only love, nothing else. So we can practice our ABCDE principles. Association of devotees, books, scriptures, chanting, deity worship. Okay, this helps. Vancha kalpatra abhyascha, kripa sindhave evacha, patitam nam pavnyo vaishnavu